Let me see a warm welcome to all our listeners and viewers. Welcome to today's edition of To The Point. It's Thursday, the 28th day of November 2024. I'm your host, GT. I'll be you until it's 10 a.m. this morning. And on Thursdays, you know, we usually have various departments within the RGPF. Today we do have, of course, we talk in port security and, of course, a representative of the Port Police Station. And with us, we have with us Constable Lawrence Honorary with us this morning. Constable, good morning and welcome.
A pleasant good morning and thank you.
All right. Let me say good morning to those of you who are listening and viewing via our social media platforms. Good morning to you also, those of you the Facebook page, YouTube channels. Good morning. Those of you via GBN's webpage, good morning and welcome once again to The Point. And as I mentioned, we're talking port security this morning. Constable Honorary, somebody asked the question, if we have to distinguish a regular police officer and a port police officer, is there any that we have to distinguish between the roles of both, if that's feasible?
Well, good morning, first of all, to everyone, and thanks to God for the opportunity to be here. And on behalf of the Greater Ports Authority and the Commissioner of Police, we thank the GBN for this opportunity. A police officer is a police officer. Mm-hmm. The only distinction that there is that we provide primary service to the Greater Ports Authority.
Okay.
But apart from that, we are police officers.
It's just a general police officer.
Yes.
All right. So we're talking port security. The importance of security and safety in relevance to the port. How crucial is that?
It is a very crucial thing. Just to distinguish between the two is safety. When we deal with safety, we're talking about accidental challenges that might pose itself just to persons or to equipment and so on. And safety, we're referring to deliberate acts that may cause injury to persons and damage to property.
All right.
So these things are critical at a port. And especially as of 2004, after 9/11, it's been heightened in terms of the things that are implemented to ensure that ports remain safe to the users and to the ships and all entities involved.
Okay. So in distinguishing the security aspect and the safety aspect, the port police is primary have that primary responsibility for that?
We do have that primary responsibility as a body, but at the end of the day, every person that uses the port also have to be mindful that it is part of their responsibility.
Okay.
Yes.
In terms of their overall safety.
Yes, it is.
And the security aspects, I am assuming as police officers, the security aspects would play a major role.
Yes, it
in
does.
terms of, the protection of the goods, services that takes place, the individuals coming there, that aspects of it would be the major role that the police would play there.
That's right, yes.
All right, great. So moving on, folks. Now, there's always that issue that folks may take up and would like to understand, and I'll give you an opportunity to explain that for us a wee bit this morning. The procedure. There's always that rules that governs when folks entering and the port will say.
Yes.
Of course, and the other operations that takes place at the port that the police will say is in charge of. Mm-hmm. Can you give us an explanation on that, please?
Okay. Well, again, it is our primary responsibility for security and safety. And we want to ensure that all users of the facility do so in a safe and secure manner. So we definitely have measures in place that will help us to achieve those goals.
All right.
And one of the things that we really like to implore on the public is to please, when you come to use the facility, you take guidance from the signs that are posted and from the information that is disseminated from the officers that are involved in providing the service.
All right. A bit of details I may ask, because sometimes as regular individuals visiting the port, there are certain yes, you mentioned the signs and so forth, but there are certain rules that governs in terms of how you go about conducting your business at the port.
Yes,
an explanation on that nature will be.
Okay. Well, to put it this way, it will sound a bit complicated in the explanation, but it's really a simple process.
Yeah.
If you come to do business to clear an item at the port, once everything is lined up as it is said, you can be out in probably 20 minutes to half an hour. Notwithstanding that, in the peak period, which we're coming into, as is Christmas, you have to give room for the extra time waiting period usually, because you'll find that we have a greater volume of persons using the facility at any one time. So you'll have to leave room for that. But apart from that, on any given day that you come to the port, it's as easy as being in and out within 20 to 30 minutes. The process is, the first thing that you will need to be mindful of is the dress code.
Okay.
The port has implemented a dress code as of April, I think, of this year, and it is strictly enforced. So we have signs and so posted. The information has also been disseminated on the media from different media houses. So we have to be mindful that we no longer permit persons to enter the port with anything that is sleeveless.
Okay.
Yes.
Male or female?
Male or female.
All right.
And your feet, the footwear that you have must fully cover your foot.
Okay.
So no slippers, no sandals, no Crocs, and so on, because some people still contend that their toes are covered. But even if it's a sandals, or Crocs, their toes are covered, so they should be allowed. And we want to reiterate that the footwear must cover your entire feet when you come into the port. And so once that is achieved, the next important thing is that you have the documentation for whatever it is that you're going to clear.
All right.
So that in itself will give us an indication that you do have legitimate business at the port.
Okay.
And once you get to the port, you first present yourself at the cashier's window, where you'll obtain an entry pass for the port. The pedestrian pass is $1 so far. And if you desire to come in with a private vehicle to collect the item once you're finished your process, then you will indicate to the cashier, and she will then tell you the fee, because based on the size of the vehicle, they carry different fees.
Okay.
And once you have obtained that pass, you go to the second window, which is the security aspect of things, and you present your documentation with your ID and the pass receipt that you would have obtained from the cashier. Now, that security officer will examine those things to ensure that everything is in compliance with the standard that the port accepts. And they will ask you a few pertinent questions to ensure that you have legitimate business and you are who you say you are. So basically, it's verification of your name, your address, and contact information in case the port needs to contact you for any reason. And the documentation that you've provided to show that you have legitimate business. Once that is achieved, you'll be then granted permission to enter the port. Upon entry, you remain at that said location, where a safety vest will be provided for you to go in and conduct your business. Okay. And if you noticed, for the time being, we use the color purple, and at the back of the vest there will be a number, and it says visitor.
Okay.
So that is, we're able to identify you while you're on the port. And as far as safety goes, persons who are moving about on the port, whether it be with vehicles or heavy machinery and so on, you have a greater visibility of the individual wherever they are.
All right.
Yes.
Another question that I would like to ask, because sometimes the option of folks may be concerned about that, someone else coming to represent someone in terms of clearing whatever what they have on the goods on the port.
Yes.
How concerning is that in that particular security aspect? Would that be permitted or not?
Yes, it is permitted. We see that on a daily basis. Persons send others to carry out their business for them for whatever reason. So far we have not had any real issue coming up as far as fraudulent acts and so on of that nature, as far as my knowledge goes. But we do permit persons to do that. However, at this point in time, because of existing programs, there are some situations where the identification of the individual whose item is being cleared may be required. Okay. So you have to verify those things. Because
it's one of the reasons I asked, because I've known someone have an issue with that a few days ago, where they claim to claim a barrel, but because of the name on the paperwork was different to theirs, you understand, they were not permitted, and was told that the person's name who's on that particular item that needs to be cleared, they are the ones that should be representing to well, I don't want to speculate, but to my knowledge, as I said, based on a program
that is ongoing as far as the barrels and so. Persons are may be required to present themselves for that purpose, because I am well aware that in situations where it is permitted under that program, you need to present your identification and all that. So it could be that is for that purpose.
All right.
Yes.
All right. We drew for a break. As we come back, folks, stay with us. It's To The Point here on Classic Radio GBN TV. We're talking, of course, port security today on the program. We will be right back after the break. Stay with us, folks. Don't touch it out.
Tourism is me, tourism is you, tourism is everybody, and tourism connects us all.
Did you know that tourism generates revenue and foreign exchange earnings?
Did you know it stimulates infrastructural development and facilitates cultural exchange among people?
You must know tourism is linked to all industries,
from agriculture to construction.
So support the industry today and be welcoming to all our visitors.
Tourism is my business. Tourism is your business. Tourism is our business. Listen, one and all. Tourism connects us all.
A message from the Ministry of Tourism
and the Grenada Tourism Authority.
Grenada Duty Free and GBN, we're partnering for this Christmas season. Folks, it's going to be a bumper one. We can actually start feeling the energy, the vibe is start building, the promotions that start coming in, and the fragrances, the chocolate. We have up 15%, 20%, 40%. It's going to be a crazy one. We are looking forward to seeing you. We are ready to treat you guys special. We are ready to give back to you after this whole year of, being with us and everything and the support. So with our partnership with GBN, it's going to be a bumper season. Looking forward to seeing you guys.
Proud sponsors of Christmas with the GBN includes Ace Hardware, Hubbards, Flow, Duty Free Caribbean, and I'm Supportings.
Welcome back once again to our listeners. Welcome back, viewers. It's To The Point Classic Radio, GBN TV. And we're talking port security this morning here on the program. We have Constable Honorary with us this morning and representing the Port Police Station, folks. And of course, we're talking the importance of the security aspect at the ports, the safety procedures that individuals should adhere to, and the general procedures that you should go through when going to conduct a business on the port. Constable Honorary, I want to come back once again. I want to ask a question in terms of the. You mentioned in an earlier segment, you did mention sometime in April there was a new initiative that was implemented in terms of the security aspect of the port.
Yes.
Give us a bit of an explanation on that in terms of reasons why those new procedures were implemented.
Well, again, with consideration for safety and security of persons and facility, the port falls under the jurisdiction of the ISPS.
Yeah.
Okay, and International Port and Ship Safety. And as part of that, we subscribe to the recommendations that is provided in order for the port itself to be certified.
Yes.
And with that certification, it allows us to host international ships and so on to provide us with goods and services. So we have to be of standard, whatever standard is required for us to operate under those jurisdictions. So there's those guidelines that are given, and the port has a responsibility to enforce those things.
All right. Yeah. The importance of individuals following those security protocols and procedures that have been implemented lately. How important is that for individuals to follow suit on that?
Well, the port of Grenada is basically the heartbeat of our nation, economic-wise. And if we continue to have breaches at the port, then the safety and security of the port comes into question. Now, the governing body, the ISPS, carries out inspections of the port. Yeah. And if we fail to meet the standard, or if we're showing that our record shows that we have too many breaches, they can come to a point where we are decertified, and they make recommendations for us to do certain things in order to get recertified.
Yes.
And if they decertify the port, it means that these international ships now will be given a mandate to probably stay away from the port for that period until the port gets recertified. Yeah. If that happens, we have to now imagine what happens to our economy, what happens to the supply of food and services and goods and so on that we enjoy because of the port. And to understand how important the port is, we go back to the time of COVID.
Yes.
Everywhere else closed. The port remained open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yes.
So that's how important it is. So we really like to know that our citizens themselves support what we're trying to achieve at the port to maintain Grenada's economy and to ensure that our people have goods and services that they can enjoy at their convenience. And part of that responsibility that we place upon them is that when you come to the port, you adhere to the rules and regulations for us all.
All right.
To benefit.
All right. Certainly understand that for sure. Folks, don't forget, we're here on Classic Radio GBN TV. We're talking with, of course, Constable Honorary, and we're talking port security this morning. Now, we briefly touched it a while ago. You know, how folks would go about and, you know, to achieve the various, how should I say, the objective, I should say, of the port. How the best to achieve the objectives when you go to the port. Because there's lots of things folks will come to do at the port. Yeah. And we spoke a while ago, but we know we're into the season right now where folks are getting with this that you offer that as from government in terms of the incentives and so forth. So if you want a smooth sailing of this, maybe you could give a bit of a rundown how folks could go about achieving it. You did mention some earlier, but maybe you could just re-emphasize it a wee bit for us again.
So once we have gotten past the entry and being clothed with the safety vest, you're directed to the shed where your item is stored. Yeah. And once you get to that shed, the first thing is to engage the port officer, or there are persons in the shed that we call porters. These persons will provide the service of assisting you, but there's a charge. They charge you for that service.
Okay.
All right. And the important thing then now is to identify your property and cause it to be in the area that is set about for inspection of it, so that they can assess and put the charges.
Okay.
And once you have that done, you get your port charge and your customs charge. I want to reiterate, there's two charges you get, your port charge and your customs charge, before you go make the payment. Because sometimes some persons come and they get the first charge and they walk away and go to the cashier. Yeah. When they get the cashier, they make the payment and they go back to the shed, then they have to go back again to the cashier. And some people get frustrated because of that. You know, they think they have to be walking about too much. So I just want to reiterate that please ensure that before you leave the shed, you understand that you have the two charges written on your document. So when you go to make the payment, you make your two payments and then you return to the shed, and where you will then obtain your exit pass.
Yes.
That document now is the one that's certified that everything has been processed, everything is correct, and now you're ready to take your goods to go out. And then at that point in time, you can get your transport to come into the port, whether it's private or...
I'm still trying to distinguish what you mentioned, and that is for the benefit of the viewers and listeners this morning. The port charge and custom charge, that's two different charges altogether.
Yes, altogether.
So you go to the shed, you whatever is in whatever you come to have taken care of has been inspected by, I'm assuming, a custom officer.
Yes.
He writes up whatever information there. That is deemed to be a port charge or custom?
No, customs charge.
That's custom charge.
Yes, customs charge.
All right.
The port charge comes about from the storage of the item and what you call a tailgating charge for the storage. However, there is a limited time that your item can be stored before it takes rent. Okay, the port itself gives you a period that you can have your item there. I believe it is 5 working days initially. I'm subject to correction.
And that's after you've been notified, after notification?
Well, that is a technical thing because usually the notification comes from the agent. The shipping agent, and not the port.
Okay.
So if the port have your item stored for 10 days, but your agent only informed you 2 days ago, then it's not the responsibility of the port, unless there is something.
But would that charge still be applied to you, with noting that it's been there, but you only been notified 10 days? Because sometimes there are instances where the shipping agent may say, well, containers may not have been cleared as yet, or it's maybe been cleared, but we have not been given the okay to have for you to go get the information or whatever, or go clear your goods on service or whatever you need at the port.
Well, to my knowledge, the agents collaborate with the port authority. So if the agent have a container to strip, meaning that you have to take the goods out and put it in the shed for storage, that they work hand in hand with the port authority. So the information is there and everyone knows what is happening. So it's not where the port takes it upon his own and go ahead and strip the container and put the goods in the shed and the agent doesn't know.
So the port is not really responsible for that part of it?
No, they work together.
Yes.
And so it's the responsibility of the agents to inform you that your item is available.
All right.
Yeah.
And then it's up to you now to move in adequate time to of course have your goods closed and to avoid those extra charges that you're being able to do.
Yes.
Now, when it comes to the port charge, so you I'm assuming for the benefit of folks who maybe going about doing this for the first time. After you've been given information at the shed, you go where to make that payment in terms of the port charges and so forth.
There's a port cashier and the customs cashier.
Yeah.
You visit those 2 cashiers.
All right.
Yeah, because presently they operate as 2 separate entities, which they are statutory bodies, and they have their own cashier, I guess, for their own administrative purposes.
Okay.
They have their separate cashiers, so you'll have to visit 2 cashiers.
Okay, so you go to the port cashier, you take care of all the charges that relates to the port.
Yes.
And then for the custom duties and so forth, you go to that one.
You pay the custom cashier.
And from there, where you proceed from there?
You go back to the shed where your item is housed, and you present those documents to the officer attending at the desk. Right. And he will then examine those things and ensure that everything is legitimate and everything is done in the way it should be. And once he's satisfied, he then go about issuing you what we call the exit pass.
All right.
And that qualifies you now to remove the item from the shed.
All right.
Yes.
Another question in terms of security. Who's responsible for your items once it's on the port?
Until it's been discharged to the person, the Grenada Port Authority has that
responsibility.
Yes.
Instances where things becomes displaced for whatever reason on the port, who takes up that responsibility?
Yeah, the complaint is made to the Port Authority.
Yeah.
Because they're the one that has that responsibility. So if for any reason something goes missing or so, you inform your agent, or if there's no agent to work on your behalf, you make a complaint to the Grenada Ports Authority officer who is in that shed.
All right.
Yes, and they will assist you from there.
And you go from there.
Yes.
All right. We drew for a break. Let's take it once again. When we come back, of course, you listeners and viewers, if you do have a question or two that you may like to ask, do you feel free to do so in the next segment. Stay with us, folks. We're coming right back. We're talking port security here on the program this morning. We have, of course, Constable Honorary with us. We'll be right back after the break. Don't touch it dial, folks. We're coming. Don't touch it dial.
months, we've poured our hearts into this journey.
We've honed our talents,
Embraced our culture, and dedicated ourselves to something greater.
now it's time to share it with you.
On November 30th,
Step into a world of elegance, beauty, and purpose at the Grenada Trade Center.
Join us as we inspire, captivate, and represent the beauty and strength of Grenadian women.
this is more than a pageant. It's a night of unforgettable talent and elegance.
Expect show-stopping performances from Grenada's top artists alongside the grace and passion of each contestant.
Don't miss the Miss Grenada Pageant 2024.
The beauty meets purpose.
Mark your calendars for November 30th at the Grenada Trade Center.
Miss Grenada Pageant, shaping a brighter future for Grenada.
One empowered woman at a time.
Welcome back once again, listeners. Welcome back, viewers, to The Point, Classic Radio, GBN TV. And we with us this morning, we have Constable Honorary with us this morning, and we're talking port security. Of course, he's representing the Port Police Station this morning, and we're talking the procedures that individuals should follow when you visit a port, of course, to conduct any business of the sort, and what you the do's and don'ts. Constable Honorary, welcome back once again. Let's spend a few minutes and speak in relation to traffic on the port itself. Okay. Sometimes you did mention earlier in an earlier conversation, you did mention, sometimes you issue those passes if you have a private vehicle, yes. Or there are folks who are goods for vehicles for who may come for different companies and so forth. Yeah. What's the procedure there, and in terms of the traffic situation on the port? How discuss that? Let's hear a bit in relation to that.
Well, the first thing I want to look at is the port highway itself.
Yeah,
that's the road directly adjacent to the port. It's a very active roadway, and traffic for the port begins right there.
Yeah.
Because if that roadway is not passable or accessible, then it limits what we can do in the port itself. Yeah. Because we have vehicles going in and out. So we try our best to keep that area pretty clear. But we do have challenges with parking. Persons will come and indiscriminately park in areas that we would prefer they not to. The port has seen it fit to actually prepare a designated area for parking.
Yes.
For these persons coming about their private business on the port. So we'd like to encourage you to use that area for us, and so it doesn't hinder the vehicular traffic for the port, and also for persons traversing to go other areas. Okay. And as it is, once you obtain your exit pass to carry your goods, that's when we then encourage you to get your vehicle. There is an area that is set about, just as how you come in on foot, there is an area set about for vehicle traffic, and we have officers also at that checkpoint. And they also have the same responsibility to ensure that you're coming in legitimately for what it is you're going to do. The process is similar as far as the information. In this case now, we will take the vehicle number and all those things. And the vehicles, they are subject to inspection. And let me say, as I'm on that, as an individual, even if you're coming on foot, you're also subject to search, at the discretion of the security officer. And just the same way, vehicles coming into the port, you're subject to be searched as well. What we like to encourage is that what we consider a sterile vehicle.
Yeah.
Where that when you're coming into the port, the only thing really is in the vehicle is the amenities of the vehicle itself and the individual or individuals who are in the vehicle. We ask you to leave things, except for your personal items like your bags and so. But we don't want to see you coming into the port where you have boxes upon boxes in your van, or you come out from the garden and you have your cutlass and your fork, in the bag there, and you're coming in there. So we don't
extra individuals in the vehicle that would not be permitted either.
Yeah, all that as well. Yes. So we want you to have a sterile vehicle. And once you come, the officer will process you in a similar manner and grant you permission to go to the shed to collect the item. Once you collected the item, you come back in the same area to that checkpoint. In this case now, you present the exit pass to the officer who is there on duty. And then the officer, you'll grant him access to the vehicle to make an examination of the contents of the vehicle. The contents of the vehicle must match what is listed on your exit pass. That ensures that what you're leaving with is what you're supposed to leave with, so no one has a complaint of a missing item. And once that is done and the officer is satisfied, the exit pass remains with the officer, your receipt remains with you, and then you're permitted to exit the port, and you're complete. Yes. But as per vehicles on the port, there are areas set aside for vehicular traffic, and we try to do that with safety and security in mind. So we'd also like for persons to follow the arrows that gives indications and the signs that give indications of where vehicles should go.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, another question I'd like to ask, and I know it may be of concern for someone. Most times folks will have a broker or somebody deal with those issues for them. Where folks maybe want to go to clear a vehicle on the port. What is that? Is that procedure similar to when someone goes to clear a barrel or so, or is it a totally different procedure that is followed?
Yes. Well, just like anything at the port, if you so desire and do not want to go through what some persons may consider the hassle, you can employ a broker to assist you. In the case of a motor vehicle, if you want to clear your vehicle by yourself, you follow the same procedure for entry, but in this case, instead of going to the shed, you go to the yard office. The yard office is that Port Authority office that controls the environment and the operations on the port. And you submit your documents to them, and once they're satisfied that legitimately you're there, then they'll provide you with the keys and so to access the vehicle. And they will give you the location of that vehicle. You go and you have the vehicle prepared for the inspection of the police, because we have inspecting officers from the traffic department that will come to the port twice per day to carry out inspection of vehicles. And so we have them coming in at 10:30 in the morning period and at 1:30 in the afternoon period. Yes, so once you're ready with your vehicle, they will inspect the vehicle, and once it's certified ready for the street, then they will issue you that registration certificate that you can go pay the government fees and get your vehicle licensed and so on, and then you follow the process again with the payments as per the ports and customs charges. And once that is satisfied, the same manner, you're issued an exit pass for your vehicle, and you come to the exit gate, the checkpoint, and at that point the officer on duty now will do his bit, which is to record the vehicle as a vehicle entering the state, and take the necessary information and have you sign as the person taking that vehicle out of the port. And once that is done, then you're permitted to exit with that vehicle.
Okay. All right. It's not too much of a hassle.
No, not at all.
Once you listen to the explanation you gave, it's not too much of a hassle, but you just sometimes, for clarity's sake, folks may just like to know that. All right. 445-2041. If you do have a question or two you may like to ask the Constable Honorary as relation to, port security, or you just some relative concern that you may have in terms of the operations of the port that you may want some, clarification on. I think we have clarified a whole lot of it for the morning already, but sometimes you may have missed something, or we may have missed something that you may have some concerns about or issues in relation to. You could always give us a call and, of course, seek some guidance on that. 435-2041, 435-2041. There's something I also wanted to ask. Is children allowed on the port?
The age limit, minimum age is 13 years.
13 years old.
Anything under that, no.
It's not
allowed.
No. Not allowed. No. Okay. So folks, take note of that. 435-2041, that's the number. If you do have a question or two as relates to our conversation this morning, we're talking port security. And if you do have a question, feel free to call in this segment. We do have our first caller. Caller, good morning, and you're welcome, and you're live.
Hi, good morning. I want to ask the officer a question. I usually go and clear stuff on the boat, and they allow 2 people usually go to do the same, But I see they reduce it now to one. One person go in. I hear you mention about you have people on the boat to assist. But I realize some of the helpers now, the fee go up so high. So I'm wondering if anything to do with the one person to go and they put perhaps for them to assist you, or the case may be, but sometimes you could have somebody to assist you and cost you cheaper than the person that's assisting you on the put. So could you tell us something about that? Thank you.
Thank you, caller. I appreciate your call. Respond to the caller.
Okay, good morning, caller. By general standard, we permit one person per document to go into the port. However, the officer can give consideration to the circumstances and the amount of items that you're clearing, and probably grant another person with you to assist. Especially probably in the case of elderly persons or persons that are not so mobile and stuff like that. We do give consideration for that. However, when we come to peak periods, especially like Christmas, which is really the peak for the port, you have to understand that we have a greater volume of persons and vehicles and so on using the port facility. And we're trying to ensure that every person that comes to the port have an opportunity to carry out the process of what it is that they're trying to clear and be able to get their items to go home with. So in order to minimize risk, because the greater volume of persons you have in the shed and so on, you increase risk of injury and other things, and probably confusion, because some people would not exercise the patience that you might find with others. I've seen, especially in Christmas periods, that I've seen persons fighting.
Yeah.
Yes, because one person wants to get ahead of the other and stuff like that. You've seen persons arguing and stuff like that. So we have to take steps in order to ensure that we keep the environment safe for everyone to use, and that they can use it conveniently at the convenience that the port provides and not at your own convenience.
Right. A question coming to mind now, of course, as relation to the caller. In terms of individuals, what's a procedure like for folks, especially exporters, who use that other side of the port? I think the CARICOM side, CARICOM side of the port. What's the procedure for that, especially importers and exporters on that side?
Well, usually the exporters are usually traffickers. However, we have other persons exporting, and the traffickers export things to Trinidad usually. We do, however, have things being exported to other areas. In those cases, you usually contact the agent of the vessel, and they will make provisions for you in order to get your goods on, and you make the payments to the agents themselves.
Right.
They have their personnel that comes to the port at the time that these things are occurring, and you make contact with them, and they will provide every necessary facilitation that you need in order to get your stuff on.
All right. Caller, you're welcome. Good morning, and you're live.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you.
I want to make the minister to give me educate me on the part of the port. Now, what I looked at, I usually drive, and to me, it's very, very hard to pass around let's say the port highway, because you encounter a lot of vehicles around the place where they say they're selling them food and so on, and lower down. And if you make, according to the people who say, a small little mistake, you are sure to bounce. In other words, to damage your vehicle or damage another vehicle. What arrangement has been made or would be made to make it easier for pedestrians and other vehicles who must pass in the area, the vicinity of the port, must. Because I find there is overcrowded, and hardly now and then you see a policeman. So I don't know what could be done to make the port, the highway, much easier, so that people, pedestrians and drivers would be welcome around the port. Thank you very much.
Thank you, caller. Not sure if in relation to that, if that's left up to the traffic department or if the port police is also responsible for that.
Well, this is not the primary responsibility of the port police department.
Yeah.
Our responsibility greatly is surrounded around the safety and security of the port.
Yeah.
However, we do assist with the traffic situation outside. If you pay particular attention, although you may not have a police officer out there all the time, you will see that we erect cones and signs and markings.
Yeah.
But what you do find, a lot of times persons will come, and as long as you do not see a police officer, they pay no respect to the cones, no respect to the signs, and they just park indiscriminately and so on. But we try as a unit to help with the traffic situation as best we can, but our focus is basically for the port itself. This responsibility more lies on the traffic department and the Department of Transport to make rules and so on that will probably help to ease that strain for persons.
Okay, understandably so. 435-2041. We have approximately 10 more minutes left on today's program. So once again, the listeners and viewers, if you do have a question or two, we would like to ask in relation to port security and the overall operations of the port in terms of the police aspect of it, feel free to give us a call. However, we due for a break. After the break, we continue with our conversation here this morning. Stay with us, folks. We will be right back. Don't touch it down.
Hello everyone, here is an invitation to join me this and every Sunday until December 22nd for Yuletide Sundays, GBN TV and K105 FM from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. as we feature the best in traditional Christmas music and the opportunity to win great gifts including cakes, hams and a range of beverages. Yuletide Sundays, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. until December 22nd. Compliments Grenville Credit Union, Grenada Paper Products, Carries the Light, and Vibe Island Drinks Hard Seltzer.
Welcome back once again to our listeners. Welcome back to our viewers. It's To The Point for today, Thursday, the 28th of November, 2024. And with us this morning, we have, Constable, that's Lawrence Honorary, with us this morning representing the Port Police Station. We're talking port security and so forth here on the program this morning. Constable Honorary, before we move on, accept a couple more calls. There's more than one operations that takes place at the port.
Yes.
Maybe you could give us an idea in terms of how these operations that take place at the port.
Okay, well, the major part of the operation is the international section of the port.
Yes.
That is the area that facilitates the cargo vessels that brings in the containers and stuff like that. So that's one area. Then we have the CARICOM area. Most people refer it to as Shed 3.
Yeah.
Shed 3 area. That's the CARICOM area. So we facilitate vessels from the CARICOM region that usually those plying the route of Trinidad to Grenada. And what we have vessels that comes in from other Caribbean islands that is usually facilitated in that area there.
Okay. And
the third operation is the Carriacou operation.
Yeah.
That we have vessels from Carriacou 6 days of the week, except on Sundays.
Okay.
And that operation is the third operation that is ongoing. And the Carriacou operation is basically one without hassle, meaning that you're not generally subjected to interaction with the officer who's on duty at the checkpoint, except to notify the officer of your presence and where you're going to.
Yeah.
Apart from that, there is no real interaction with the officer, and you do not require a pass to go into the area that deals with the Carriacou vessels.
Okay.
That is as free as if you're driving from St. George's to Grenville.
All right.
Yeah. However, we would like to implore on persons, because some people sometimes they try to breach the security of the port, that we have erected fences to separate those areas, and persons try to use opportunities to go around those fences, which is an entire breach of the security. And once you've done that, it means that you're first and foremost you're trespassing.
Okay.
Yes, because you're there without authorization. Now, as a policing body, we have a responsibility to carry out police work as well. But it is not our main goal at the port. Our goal is to facilitate business in a safe and secure manner. So we also like persons to be responsible enough to not to give us a reason to invoke the police side of our duties in that case.
Okay.
Yes, so once you adhere to those rules and regulations, then we have no need for that. We just carry out that function that will permit you to carry out your business.
Okay, we do have another caller. Caller, you're live. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, and thank you for taking the call. I'm happy that you have that program on this morning, because as a budding business person, I want to use the word oppressed by the state of commerce on the port and other ports of entry. I've been doing research. Grenada is actually ranked 146 out of the 190 sovereign states for doing business, according to the World Bank's annual report. And it speaks to many aspects of business, but in particular, just getting your cargo off the port, it shouldn't be that difficult. I mean, I've visited other countries and having to do business there. Ours is a far cry from what it should be. I heard the officer just mention that you don't have to pay a port pass to be able to transact business at the CARICOM section. Well, not CARICOM, sorry, the Carriacou section. And I have been asked to pay port pass there for many of the times. So it seems that there is not a clear set of rules as what has to be done. So you may spend quite a long time on the port just trying to get from point A to point B, and I think that really needs to be fixed, because we know business time is money. You can't spend 24 hours just clearing goods. I'm exaggerating a bit, but that's how it seems when you're on the port. You're there forever. Whether you're trying to get assistance with customs or persons, the port authority, or even security to enter, it's a bit too much. So I think we need to look into that to make transacting business, especially for locals, a lot easier. Right? At this point, it's too cumbersome, it's too time-consuming, and it's frustrating. So I think we need to work on that. Persons shouldn't have to hire multiple brokers to clear personal stuff, and then even for business, a small business person having to pay that amount of money to get persons just to eliminate the time process. So I think we need to work on that. Parking again is another issue. That seems to be a Caribbean problem, but Grenada, I think it's really bad. A lot of business places, you're inviting persons to transact business with you, and you have no place for parking, and the port is no exemption. I'm going there to clear a container or to clear a box. Where do I park? You have to find a park meters away from the port, go pay a port pass, do the business, come back, get your vehicle, get a vehicle pass into the port. That's too much. I don't think, whether we need to clear out a space on the port and give a restriction on time, even if it's paid parking, something needs to be done about that. I don't think it's acceptable for private citizens who transact business on the port to experience that type of hassle, from conducting business to parking to getting your goods out of the port. It's a bit too much. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Appreciate your contribution. Any response to the caller?
Well, as regards to parking, under the code, there's a particular distance that is allowed for any vehicles to park in terms of the physical structure of the port. However, because Grenada has been operating at level 1, which is a normal level of operation so far, I believe that we have not had to really truly, separate people from as far a distance as some other ports. And we're thankful for that. So it means that our port is quite safe and secure. Persons too have to be tolerant. Yes, I understand the concern, and it is a work in progress. We have different entities that have to work together to facilitate one process. And no one entity can do it by themselves. And as port security, we have our role. But for most of which the gentleman wants to see addressed, it is beyond the Port Police Department. It is more to the administrative level of the Grenada Ports Authority and the Customs Department and so on to look into those areas.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. We do have another caller, maybe our final caller for the morning. Caller via WhatsApp. Good morning and you're welcome.
Good morning. Right. Sometimes you notice trucks coming from the docks. In our view, you find they're overloaded. Sometimes dangerously so. Does the police have any limits, where loading of trucks and exiting the port with what we call might seem to be excessive cargo, excessive loads? Does the police have anything to deal with that? Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Thank you.
Yes, we do. It's something that we try to address consistently. And in the Road Traffic Act, there are limits to how things can extend from your vehicle and stuff like that. So once the vehicle gets to the exit checkpoint, we make a determination to realize that it is safe for it to traverse the road. If necessary, we instruct the drivers and conductors to put straps and so on to make items more secure and so on. There are things that that we look at in terms of the law gives you that right. If a vehicle has anything extending 5 feet beyond the rear of the vehicle, then you're required to erect a red flag at the end of that load. If it's 2 feet on either side, you also need to do that. So we try to work in keeping with what the law states, because if you fail to do that, then you can understand the implications. And we're dealing with persons who are very educated and persons who are knowledgeable of law and will challenge you. And so we have to be mindful of that and keep things within the framework of the law. But yes, we do. We understand the great concern. I myself understand that as a person. And so when I'm on duty, I definitely try to ensure that whatever vehicle that I allow to exit that port, within my scope of the law and within my personal determination that it is safe to do so.
All right. Constable Honorary, Constable, anything in closing before we take a wrap this morning? Any closing words?
Well, yes, I really am pleased this morning to be here and to have the opportunity to disseminate information. I want to continue to thank those persons that come to the port, and really for most part persons are very understanding, they're very compliant and so on. We have those few that challenges stuff, probably not necessarily to cause a problem, but they just want to see things go the way they want to see it. But nevertheless, we're happy to provide the service that we provide. We believe and we understand how important it is to our nation. And we like persons to come in and with the frame of mind of compliance.
All right.
Because compliance is key to the success of the port. We understand that persons may have differences of opinion on situations. And you may want to express yourself. How you do it also is important, because if you come to the port and you're expressing yourself in a manner that is not pleasing to the environment, then we can deem you as a threat, and we'll have to take the necessary action, which is something that we do not really look forward to. So we just want to encourage persons that when you come to the port, to be patient. If you're not certain of what you about, ask a question, and in so doing, you ask the question to the relevant authority. Because sometimes you come in a line and a person is not sure what they want to do, and they might ask the person behind them. And the person might give them an advice, and they come inside the port and use that advice. And when you look at it, it's not the right advice.
Okay.
So ask the pertinent persons, the security officer, the port officer, the customs officer, that they can help you and assist you with, what you're doing, so that everything goes smoothly. And at the end of the day, we believe that it all amounts to success. For not just an individual, but for as a nation. And so I just want to use this opportunity as well to wish everyone, season's greetings and all the best for the Christmas and the coming year. And thank you to GBN.
All right. Consuelo, I want to thank you a whole lot for being here this morning and sharing the information you shared with our listening and viewing public. And I certainly hope it make the hassle of individuals who visiting the port will, of course, be at ease.
Yes.
At some point or the other.
Absolutely.
All right. Hey, folks, that's where we take a wrap for this edition of To The Point for today, Thursday, the 20th day of November. Join us again for another edition. That's where we say goodbye.